Hello and welcome to Odds Serie A match day 26 after the disaster in Europe. Disappointing week for the Italian team. Horrible results. Perhaps the first time in history that we don't see an Italian team in the last 16 round of the Champions League. Leo, we are focused in Serie A, but the level is the level. It's in an interesting league. We are saying that week and week, but in Europe, there is not enough. It's not enough.
Yes, hello, Eduardo. Absolutely. I was just talking about that with our producer, David. Just it's a shame because I think it's been a good Serie A season, this one, entertaining, good games, but Champions League, Europa League has shown the gap that even the top Italian teams have with the rest of Europe. So hopefully that could get sorted by next season, which is difficult because we are talking about money here, and Serie A is not the richest at all in the top European leagues. But we will see. I still think there is a little bit of a chance there in San Siro more than in Turin, but very, very difficult.
Well, Italy are going to have nightmares with Norway out of the World Cup because of them, or at least to the playoffs. Yes. And now also with 𝐿𝐵𝗲𝗀𝗀 and fighting toe-to-toe in the Winter Olympics, of course, Norway and Italy. But this is another thing. Well, let's talk about every team and their problems in Europe, little by little. In the meantime, of course, try to make some money with the Serie A. Let me know, guys, in the comments. Ask any question to Leo Bachanian, since this is a live video. We have already Luis asking for predictions for the Eredivisie, for the Portuguese League or the Turkey leagues. Who knows? Maybe in the future. And now let's go on with the show. First game at the Matchday Stadium is Sassuolo Verona. Verona absolutely hopeless, 9 points away from Lecce. They are going to Serie B. They lost to Parma. Even if they fought playing with 10 men, they were very close to get something from the Ennio Tardini Sassuolo, newly promoted team, but doing things way better than Verona. Is 3 wins in the last 4, winning in Udine. Of course, here, if you want to bet, Leo is untouchable, Verona.
Absolutely, absolutely. An extraordinary season for Sassuolo to see themselves 10th in the table, to have already secured Serie A football for next season before or 12 games in advance. It's just amazing. It was amazing to have they won it in a rush against Udinese from behind, because they were just 1-0 down, and then in 2 minutes in the second half they turned it around with 𝐿𝐿 and Pinamonti. They have a very good attacking trio, I would say, which makes probably the difference between Sassuolo and many of the other teams in the who are battling to avoid relegation. And Sassuolo is not anymore one of those, because, for example, Pisa has scored 20 goals, Verona 19, Cremonese 21, Lecce 17, Genoa 29, Torino 25. And between 𝐿𝐿, Pinamonti and Domenico Berardi, the captain, they have participated in 23 goals between goals and assists. So very good attacking trio for Sassuolo. They complement each other very, very well. And it's not just them. They have a very good goalkeeper in 𝗀𝗎, very good centre back in 𝗪𝒪ξinović. Shame he got injured, so probably he won't be playing this game against Verona. 𝗀𝗏𝗏 in midfield is doing very well. Matic, who was suspended against Udinese, could be back and is having as well a very good season. You mentioned 3 wins in the last 4 for them. In 2024, the season they were relegated, they won 7 games. Well, they already have won 9 matches this season. I don't know if Sassuolo is going to be another 11 years in Serie A, as it happened the previous time, but for sure this season is a very good foundation for them, Edu. Untouchable Verona, as you said, 75th in the last 11. Might take Sassuolo to win 1.83.
Even they played in Europe one season. Well, Sassuolo 2-0, Sassuolo and over 1.5 goals also for David. So let's go Sassuolo way here. And now let's talk about the problems of teams, of Italian teams in Europe. First one is 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. This is a very good game. 𝐿𝐴, by the way, also played a midweek game, was in Milan, and they got a point. So winless in the last three because they were defeated by Fiorentina. Surprisingly, in the last home game, only 4 points between these two teams, but Juventus thinking about the second leg against Galatasaray, Leo, they were really poor defensively. Most of the goals were a disaster from the defense, and also the goalkeeper. I think we can easily blame him as well. It was really bad. We were talking before as well that they conceded 3 against Inter, even if they were robbed for the red card to Kalulu. They conceded another 2 with Lazio. So this is a thing that is repeating. Juventus is not good defending anymore.
No, Edu, and to be honest, it was a very damning defeat, the one in Istanbul. And as well, it's not just that your chances to make it to the last 16 have been reduced by a good margin, but the feeling that even if Juventus win by 4 goals on Tuesday, or if they win it on penalties, the feeling is like, for what? Because yes, you make it to the last 16, but then what? I mean, the 5-2 has shown that this Juventus cannot compete at the very top in Europe. And the wider picture is something that we were talking just at the start of Serie A teams in Europe, because Inter, is the one that we think can keep pace with the rest, but look what happened in Norway. Napoli couldn't even make it to the playoff. Atalanta was far as well from their best against Dortmund. It was a damning defeat as well for Spalletti's project, because in San Siro last week, Juventus, I think they played a good first half. They deserved to be winning in that half. They even managed to equalize playing with 10, but on Tuesday they were a mess, an absolute mess. And also, Edu, they show no character at all. That is as well very, very worrying. Spalletti was questioned one if he was not naive, maybe not to offer a more conservative face from his Juventus. And he said he doesn't have the players to sit back and just trying to play counter-attacking football or transition football. But the reality as well is like, you should have a little bit more pragmatic approach. Sometimes no one is asking Spalletti to drop his belief. It's just like, oh, come on, it's a playoff to get a chance to be in the last 16 of Champions League. Just maybe you can change it, you can tweak a little bit, because as you said, defensively was a complete disaster. And poor 𝐿𝐴, once he scored 2 goals, his best night as a Juventus player is worth almost nothing. And then as well, Spalletti needs the help of his players. You need smart players as well, because he takes at halftime 𝐿𝐵𝐴 out because he's on a yellow, and the person replacing him, Cabral, then gets 2 yellows in 15 minutes. Yeah. In those instances, the manager, what can do? I mean, you need as well smart players. And then we're going to see if Spalletti is going to prioritize an important match or an urgent match, because 𝐿𝐴 is important and Galatasaray is urgent. So probably we're going to see changes for Saturday. And then 𝐿𝐴 as well was far from their best against Fiorentina, especially in the first half. Toothless, absolutely, passing the ball without menace, very slow. Second half was different. There was even more attacking hunger, and they could have rescued a point, but in the best time, Morata got red carded, and with 10 was more difficult to finish the game. Fabregas was harsh on Morata. In San Siro on Wednesday, 𝐿𝐴 scored again after a few games in which he switched off. He's now on 16 goals involvements, 10 goals, 6 assists in 28 matches this season. And with Milan, I saw something that sometimes happens to this 𝐿𝐴 in big games away. The approach is a little bit more conservative, more than Fabregas would like to accept probably. If they score, they drop. It's now 3 games without winning for 𝐿𝐴. On the road, anyways, 3 wins and 1 draw. in the last 5. And with this Juventus thinking more about Champions League midweek than probably against 𝐿𝐴, my take here is double chance, 𝑋2 double chance 𝐿𝐴 1.73.
All right, even if David is going for Juve winning, Pathfinder, 𝐿𝐴 can find a goal here. I was checking also the both teams to score market and pays 1.83 in case someone wants to try this, seeing also how bad Juve defense, even if our smart bet tool here is going for a very, very risky one, under 1.5 goals. So they don't see goals in the Olimpico in Turin. Well, urgent game, as you said, or this Juventus 𝐿𝐴. Juventus now 5th, so they won't play Champions League football next season. And now we have Lecce Inter. We saw this coming when we were analyzing the game Bodo-Glimt. Inter, be careful, artificial grass or synthetic grass is cold. Bodo are doing good things in Europe, and Inter also made so many mistakes. Also, a couple of times they hit the woodwork, but they didn't create enough chances. Pio Esposito again scoring. Leo, you were wondering if Juventus are going to think in the second leg of the Champions League or in 𝐿𝐴. I'm 100% sure that Inter are thinking in Bodo-Glimt and not in Lecce. So perhaps here there is some room for a surprise because Lecce are doing good things. They are surprising us. Massive win in Cagliari, and against Udinese, they are really fighting to stay in Serie A.
They are fighting, and they're keeping up with Fiorentina, 3 points above them, and also seeing that Cremonese probably this weekend could even drop to the red zone, and Fiorentina and Lecce could be safe. But at the same time, I mean, we saw this picture of Inter in midweek losing a game. Of course, this is different because it's one that could decide the season in Europe for them. But for example, when they lost again Atletico Madrid, then they recovered straight away. It's the type of game that I will always trust Inter, even with rotation, as they're going to have against this Lecce. And even though if Lecce is having a good moment, as you mentioned, with those 2 consecutive wins, was a shame for Inter, to be honest, what happened in Norway, because finally 𝐬𝐭𝐴 gets what we've been asking, a win in a big game, as it was the Derby d'Italia last Sunday against Juventus, and in extremis with Zielinski scoring the third one on added time, to then capitulate in Norway in a space of 2 or 3 minutes. I think they're gonna put the house in order anyway against Bodo in midweek. But yes, for sure, it hurt 𝐬𝐭𝐴 because it changed the narrative after 48 hours already in terms of his team and the big games. It was a week with controversy in Italy as well because of Bastoni's diving and celebration, asking for Kalulu to get red carded. Some were asking for him not to be called by Gattuso to the Nazionale, a little bit silly or too far. As Spalletti with Cambiaso in Istanbul, I mean, 𝐬𝐭𝐴 took off Bastoni at the break against Juventus on Sunday because he was on a yellow. For sure, he thought the referee had seen the footage of what happened with Kalulu. He would realize his mistake, so there is room for compensation, and he took it off, and 𝗵𝐵𝑖 came in, and he did actually well. It was the return against Juventus of Çalhanoğlu, mixed feelings because he scored but did not finish well the match. He missed the one with Bodo and one being Puglia. That's at least what they're saying in Italy. For Zielinski, was his best moment as a Nerazzurri, 5 goals this season for him, and it was a great night for Esposito too. But the defeat, of course, then in midweek overshadowed everything. And this Lecce won a huge one in Sardinia, Edu, to keep the 3 points distance with the Viola. These 2 consecutive wins coming at the right time. But against the top 6 at home, Lecce, guys, lost 2-0 with Milan. They lost 2-0 with Napoli. They lost 2-0 with Roma. And they lost 2-0 with 𝐿𝐴. So let's not forget that as well, even if Lecce is having a good time. And again, for me, the type of games which Inter usually wins under rotation as well, might take Inter to win 2-0, 2.15.
Okay, David remembers the Derby d'Italia, refers to play his role again with the second yellow shown to Kalulu. Inter to win 2-0. Luis sees Lecce scoring a goal, and our smart bet is going for plenty of goals here at Via del Mare. Over 3.5 goals. That's a lot, and it pays 4. So really, well, audacious, I would say, tip, this one, going for so many goals. And the last game on Saturday is Cagliari Lazio. Cagliari lost to Lecce, still in some trouble, although they have a good cushion with the relegation zone. And Lazio lost to Atalanta, is 1 win in the last 5 games. This is a season to forget for Lazio. They are not gonna qualify for European football again.
No, not at all, Edu. And yes, for Cagliari, I said the shows before, Edu, that they were not entertaining as other seasons since they were as well battling for to avoid relegation, but they were a little bit more adventurous in attack, and now they are more efficient, I would say. They do not get bothered if they don't have the ball even at home. With Milan, 30% possession, with Juventus, similar, and those are okay. Top teams, you can expect that Cagliari should drop a little bit. But with Lecce, before Lecce scored the opening goal in the second half, Cagliari played most of the time in their own half. They had chances to score anyway, but did not take them. So when you lose that efficacy, the risk of finishing the 90 minutes empty-handed is bigger. And that happened with Lecce on Monday, to make it 2 consecutive defeats after they enjoyed 3 consecutive wins before this run. With Lecce, Caprile, which is having a great season, the goalkeeper did not have a good game. He was not reassuring figure in set pieces and was partly guilty, I would say, for the second goal. The record at home is still not too bad, with 4 wins and 3 draws out of 12 matches for Cagliari. Last season, they won 6 games in Sardinia in 19 games. So we are going to be around those numbers again probably this season. And Lazio should not be the one to intimidate Cagliari anyway. This Lazio is impossible to know what they are fighting for, Edu. One day they can compete in Turin, a week later they completely disappoint at home, like it happened with Atalanta. They have won 3 away games this season, and those were Verona, Parma, and Genoa for Lazio. But I think with that, this match day 26 should enter, yes, probably in the bracket of winnable games for Lazio, but I can trust them. Even if I just mentioned what happened with Verona, Parma, and Genoa, I just cannot trust this Lazio team. My take here is double chance X1, so double chance Cagliari combined with goals under 3.5, these two together, odds of 1.88.
Screams draw, Carbonaro is telling us. I wouldn't discard it. Yeah. For Sunday, Genoa, Torino. Genoa in big trouble right now, 3 points away only for Fiorentina, since La Viola and Lecce are pushing. They could only draw with Cremonese. It's only 1 point in the last 3 games for the Rossi's men. Torino is only 1 win in the last 7. Well, really poor. And also be careful, Torino is 6 points away from relegation. We know that it's impossible to see Torino or Udinese in Serie B, but Leo, they are there. They are still there.
Yes, and it's impossible as well to trust them. Absolutely inconsistent. And for Genoa, probably the point against Cremonese did not feel great for them. But if we look at the Forest, not the tree, could be seen as another building block to stay in Serie A. And I won't say the same for Cremonese, even if they got also a point. But that is because of a simple reason. Genoa has better players to stay up than Cremonese. Daniele De Rossi has obtained 18 points in 15 match days. With this average of 1.2 points per game, they will reach 39-40 points. And we have said this in shows before, that in the last 10 years in Serie A, the average to stay up is 35-36. So Genoa, for me, are going to be fine. it is clear also for me that Genoa expands their game a little bit more when the opposition does not bring the tension of a 6-pointer, because Napoli, Bologna, Lazio were all matches that finished 3-2, and Genoa's last 2 draws have been against Parma and Cremonese, and both 0-0. If this game will have a poster, I would say it should have the faces of Malinowski and 𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀. The 2 attacking midfielders have been decisive so far for Genoa and for Torino. Malinowski, 5 goals, 3 assists. He has an average of more than 2 shots on goal per game. And I'm saying this because Malinowski against Torino to have 0.5 shots on target is 1.44, so he will need only 1 shot on target. And 𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀 is undisputable Torino best player this season, 7 goals, 5 assists for him. 𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀 to score or to assist anytime is 3.4, which is quite high and a good one. Genoa at home is 2 wins and 2 defeats in the last 5, and Torino arriving at the back of 1 win and 3 defeats in the last 5, having conceded 12 times in those 5 matches. Torino, they are traveling without 𝐿 He got injured and he's out for the next 3 weeks. Genoa the favorite here, and for me it's fairly to say that. Of the last 8 Genoa home games, Edu, 5 have been goals over 2.5, and 6 of them both seem to score yes. So my take in this one, goals over 2.5, odds of 2.4.
Okay, David, screams draw. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 1-1 in this game. Jackie going for double chance. For Genoa, let's look for better games. Atalanta-Napoli, this is a very good one in Bergamo. Atalanta fighting to get into the European spots. They are not that far, 5 points away from Roma, from the top 4, 8 from Napoli. Napoli only 1 game per week. Last one was the draw against Roma in a game that everything could have happened, indeed, but they are not in a good moment. Timing is good for Napoli, of course, to visit Bergamo, since Atalanta are thinking also how to come back in the Champions League after the 2-0 in Dortmund. It's going to be very difficult for them. Their numbers are very good in Italy. Leo, who knows what Palladino is going to prioritize as well, this game against Napoli to qualify next season for Europe, or trying to come back against Dortmund, although it's going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, very, very difficult, but I think he's going to, in his mind, Edu, is to look for the midweek game. So again, some rotations for Atalanta here. They did not travel to Dortmund, not the Atalanta that we have been growing so much under Palladino. In their defense, it was a massive blow that before the game they lost Raspadori and De Ketelaere for a month. To have conceded as well after 2-3 minutes was another blow. Then there were as well Palladino's faults, playing man marking away in Dortmund, when you know the moment your players lose a battle, a duel, the stadium is going to fall into your players. I think sometimes, as well as I said with the Spalletti, it's not bad to be a little bit more conservative, especially in top games for Atalanta like this one in Dortmund. But I do think they have, power to turn it around. But that will mean, yes, rotation against Napoli in the weekend. The good news for them, for Atalanta, is that in midweek, Como drop another 2 points, so they are now level with 𝐿𝐴. Napoli on Sunday against Roma, I like the spirit they do. The 2-2, I think it was fair. I don't agree that Napoli deserved to win that game, as Conte was mentioning. But he was, I think, spot on describing the game as a little bit more of the Premier League game, because it was a lot of transitions in that Napoli 2, Roma 2, which is fairly because of what Roma wants to offer. Or when you are playing 1v1 all over the pitch, the moment you lose a battle, you lose the ball, it becomes a little bit of a basket game, and that happened. Was very entertaining the game with Roma. 11 points behind Inter. There's no talk of a Scudetto here. Napoli will need Inter to drop us fall, as we have never seen this before, probably in ages in Serie A. We will see for which European spot they qualify, but Napoli has enough to stay there or even to fight for second with Milan. But Napoli should play, and I think will play Champions League football next season. There was a comeback from injury against Roma of Billy Gilmour after 3 months out. The Brazilian Alisson Santos, who arrived from Sporting Lisbon during the winter transfer window, scored his first goal for Napoli. Actually, he came in the second half and he was given the MVP. It was nice to see Conte, which we know he's a tough guy, to get a little bit more emotional after the game, because he was reminded of the Tifosi banner that they displayed before the match, that was saying something around like, we don't know what our fate will be, but we will be with you until the end. Despite the many difficulties, you are honoring the shirt and the city. So basically, the Tifosi understand that it's been a tough season for Napoli, but the players are giving it all. The injuries have not helped the cause of Napoli, and at the end of the day, they won one title so far, which was the Supercoppa d'Italia. But my take here, Edu, Atalanta, Napoli, both seem to score yes, combined with double chance. Napoli, remember, Atalanta's heads thinking about Dortmund. These two together, odds of 2.74.
Okay, we have here people going for 1x like Carbonaron, David the opposite, going for Napoli, or 𝐶𝐞𝐿 going for the other result, the X, the draw. Both teams to score in the head-to-head. We are seeing plenty of goals, so could be an option. The return fixture was 3-1. The reverse fixture was 3-1 for Napoli last season, 2-3 in Bergamo. Before that, 0-3 for Atalanta. So now we can see in the screen the head-to-head, plenty of goals. So could be a good option. Our smart bet tool is going for Atalanta to win. As simple as that. They are the favorites, and there you go. We can see Atalanta to win 2.5 is the top bet or the top tip for Oddspedia. Next game is Milan-Parma. I always think about Carlo Ancelotti when I listen to this game, Milan-Parma, and now I can picture myself or himself enjoying Carnival, but this was long time ago.
Have you seen the picture?
Of course, I've seen the picture. I see the video in the Sambódromo. He's enjoying life. He's enjoying life, and we love Carleto. We love Carleto. Well, Milan-Parma. Leo with Milan dropping points in midweek against 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐿 after beating Pisa, struggling. Modric had to rescue the team. The team is not playing well, but it's going to be impossible to chase Inter. They should qualify for the Champions League, and Parma got a very important win against Verona. They struggled for so many minutes, even playing against 10 men, but at the end, they got the win, 8 points clear from Verona, so they are going to stay one season more in Serie A, and I like Parma, so I'm happy.
Yes, and that takes some pressure out of their shoulders going into San Siro, Edu. And remember that in the reverse fixture, they already gave headaches to Milan when they were 2-0 down, and the game finished 2-2 at the Ennio Tardini. Second consecutive win for them before arriving to San Siro. Pellegrino's header to give the win against Verona, 7 goals for him this season, and his best season in terms of goals was 2024 when he scored 10 for Platense in Argentina. So for sure I think he's gonna reach again those double figures. In the last 10 games at home, 6 wins and 4 draws for Milan, and 3 of those 4 draws were against Genoa, Pisa, and Sassuolo. And Parma away, since losing with Roma, is having a good run. 4 wins and 1 draw in the last 6. So I don't expect a thrashing here at all, not at all. The first half of Milan against 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻𝐿 was very, very bad. The game in general was poor, but Milan was not showing that they could be a title contender on Wednesday. Maignan giving away the goal to 𝐶𝐞𝐭'𝐬. Second half was different. The attitude was different. But that's what happened the whole season to Milan. first half they just almost do nothing, and then they need a dryer in the changing room, and second half looks different. It was great to see last weekend Modric scoring the winning goal against Pisa. His smile was huge.
Third oldest
exactly. Yeah. Yes, the other two are who score. Yes, Zlatan and Costa Curta. Yeah, the other two.
And Zlatan so could be playing, I think, still football probably. He wants.
Yes. He could do whatever he wants. Actually, he looked so fit the other day in the mountain. Exactly. Like he gets no. It's just amazing. I agree. I mean, if I'm a relegation battling team, I will approach Zlatan. Even if he doesn't want to train, you have him there on Sundays in the middle of the center back, something he's going to do. So why not?
Better Zlatan than Morata.
Oh, probably. So, yes, Fabregas could do with him. Plus, Zlatan could take trash talk a little bit more than Morata. That's for sure. Morata looks a little bit too sensitive. And that's why Fabregas got very upset with him. And yeah, again, I don't expect Milan here to trash Parma, not at all. I mean, they could win, yes, but I don't see here a game of Asian handicap -2 for Milan or nothing of sort. Actually, my take for this one is on the Asian handicap, but on the Asian handicap plus for Parma is Parma Asian handicap plus 1.5, odds of 182. My take for this Milan Parma.
I like it. Could be also an under, as David is telling us. 1-1, Carbonaro, correct score. 2-1 for 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐴. Should be a tight one here. And also on Sunday, we have Roma Cremonese. Be careful, Cremonese looking to Serie B now. Yeah. Only 3 points away from Fiorentina, being one of the worst teams right now in Serie A. Is 7 defeats and 4 draws in the last 11 games. Yeah. So you can imagine. And Roma, well, was spot on in the winter transfer market with Malen, even if we thought he doesn't have so many goals on him, but it's been an upgrade, a huge upgrade compared to 𝗏𝗵𝗏𝗀 and Ferguson, scoring plenty of goals, creating chances, even doing some solo actions as we saw at the Maradona. I guess this is kind of a safe bet going for Roma here.
Yes, the type of win of game that again Roma could win 2-0. Big night for Donny Malen at the Diego Armando Maradona. He scored a brace, could have been a hat trick. I mean, going up front twice, knowing the gap with Juventus could have been 3 points. In the end, it was harsh for Roma to take the 2-2, I think. But they're on track for the objective to qualify to the Champions League. Impossible not to think that Roma will have few more points. As Gasperini said, if Malen had arrived earlier this season, 𝗏𝗵𝗏𝗀 last season, Ferguson, this one did not work. I don't think as well, for example, that Ricardo Bastés will work either, and the one who arrived from Marseille in the winter transfer market. But the Dutch forward, yes, he hit the ground running and showed he's different. And also he's doing very well because the style of playing is suited to the one of Gasperini. He's a mobile striker. He can drop to the sides. He can create his chances through the middle. He can do solo runs, like you said, Edu. He can combine. He can press. 𝗏𝗵𝗏𝗀 Ferguson cannot do that. They have different characteristics. So he's been there only 5 matches, but has improved the side. And if Gasperini gets Dybala, Soulé, and El Shaarawy back to full fitness, things could look even better. The 2-2 should be seen as well in the context of Roma not having Mario Hermoso in defense. Manu Koné is out injured. A shame that Wesley is now out, so the left wing back position will be probably for Tsimikas on Sunday night. But why not to think of Soulé, if fully fit, to play there, and Pellegrini and Zaragoza behind Malen. It's 2 wins in the last 5 for Roma, but Cremonese again should be the one that we can think of Roma having no problems to get the 3 points. This Cremonese at the back of the 0-0 against Genoa, and seeing how Fiorentina and Lecce are getting closer and closer. Actually, Lecce is already next to them. Cremonese having just a better goal difference than Lecce. But this match day, Cremonese could fall into the red zone. winless in the last 11, as you said, Edu. Away from home, 3 goals in the last 9 on the road for Cremonese. Roma halftime, full-time market, odds of 2. That's one that I could take. Roma halftime, full-time market. And also Roma to win 2-0, same odds of 2. Those are fine for me, Edu.
Okay, one to add to your ACCA. Carbonaron is telling us for Monday 2 games, derby in Tuscany, Fiorentina, Pisa, crucial game for Fiorentina, looking for another win. They could hit 24, and 24 right now is the number. Genoa, Cremonese, and Lecce have. So we all expect Fiorentina to win after beating Como. We saw also 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 scoring from the penalty spot. And well, Pisa is going down. Leo fighting in some games with some pride, I would say, but still going down. Must win for Fiorentina.
Yes, it is, everyone. Fiorentina is at the back of a great win against Como last weekend, and they have they have secured, the place in the last 16 of Conference League, winning 3-0 away in Poland. Beautiful free kick. I don't know if you have seen it from Mandragora. Beautiful free kick from Andrake. Also, the win on Thursday night was important in one way. 13 players in the squad were developed within the club. Fiorentina played with 9 Italian players as well, and 4 of the 5 defenders were formed in the club academy. And I'm mentioning the Italian players, which some might say like what I'm saying. I'm talking about Serie A, was they being impressed of a team having Italian players, but Como, for instance, does not have Italian players. And Fabregas talked many times of how he tries to sign young Italian players, but he did not see that they have the level he requires. So Fiorentina to have shown this faith in their own youth, I think is good. Of course, it's easier to play them in Conference League than in Serie A with so much at stake. But we will see how long lasts this Fiorentina-Lecce fight. And I think not long, because Cremonese will fall into the bottom 3 very, very soon, probably. Pisa, of course, this is a 6-pointer, but one of the last chances for Pisa. A defeat will leave them 9 points behind the safe zone, and that sounds almost impossible for them. They were very close to snatch a point with Milan, but ended in a painful way, as happened in San Siro. Fabian Loyola, the Chilean midfielder, who arrived this winter, scored his first goal in Serie A. He did not need many games to become a starter and someone who cannot be dropped, I think, in Pisa's midfield. But in the end, the fact is they are 14 games without winning, 8 defeats in the process. So for me, here is clear, Edu. It's only one way: Fiorentina to win 1.67.
Let's hope they can get the 3 points and finally catch Lecce, Cremonese, or Genoa. And the last game, Bologna, Udinese, not really interesting, this one, both in mid-table. Finally, Bologna got a good result in the Europa League, in this case, in Norway, playing Brann, and also beat Torino in Serie A, so they are recovered. But, well, Udinese is a nightmare, Leo, for gamblers, for bettors. And this game is a nightmare, I would say, because the head would go with Bologna, but you never know with their bad run lately.
Yes, but at least it seems the sun is shining a little bit again in Bologna. Not that you need to wear a 50-plus sunscreen, but after a long winter, I think in which they went from fighting from Champions League to being closer to the red zone, they can now enjoy 2 consecutive wins, both away, the 2-1 against Torino, the 1-0, as you mentioned, in Norway against Brann on Thursday night. In both games, Santi Castro was the difference. He scored for the 3rd consecutive match. I know I sometimes criticizing him for not being a regular goal scorer, but something that he never misses in his game is hunger. He presses, he moves, he tries to help the team. The way he actually works for the team reminds me a little bit of Julian Alvarez, when he runs after everyone to press. Now with Lautaro Martinez injured, I think there is a big chance for one of these 3 players to get a call for the Finalissima against Spain: Matteo Pellegrino, Panicelli, the number 9 from Strasbourg, or also Santi Castro. He's in contention. He Bologna could have killed probably the tie in Norway because Orsolini and Dahlin had great chances to score. But they need to reaffirm this recovery at the Stadio Dallara, Edu, because the last time that Bologna won a home game, that was at the beginning of November against Napoli. In between then and now, there were wins at home, but those were in Coppa Italia or Europa League. But in Serie A, it's 7 matches without winning, with 6 defeats, the last 4 in a row playing at home for Bologna. Udinese is at the back of a home defeat with Sassuolo. It's 3 defeats in the last 5, and the last 2 in a row. A team, as we have said, we cannot trust. That's why, even if the odds are good on Bologna, Edu, and I think they can build from the last week in Turin, my take here is going to be on the individual market. Santi Castro to score or to assist anytime, odds of 2.2. I think he can continue building this good moment, Santi Castro.
All right. Well, this is it for our Serie A video. Remember, guys, of course, that we have our tipster competitions going on, free to participate, and you can win some money. Monthly one. This is the February one with 2 Ukrainian guys and a Brazilian guy leading. You can see in the yellow corner the amount of money they are getting from Oddspedia. Transfer via PayPal, and there you go. Also our rivals tool, and also the prize pool in each competition. Mr. Leo Bachanian, without bird, tell us your safe bet.
Roma Cremonese goals over 1.5, odds of 1.30.
And the ACCA?
Atalanta Napoli both seem to score yes. Roma halftime, full-time market. Fiorentina to win. These 3 together, 6.1.
Thank you, Leo. Thanks
you, guys.
Everyone for watching. See you next week. Good luck, Italian teams.